In an article written in Germany, it was discovered that the average human can survive up to 21 days without food. The question on everyone's minds now is, how long can the world survive without food? With a global food shortage approaching, we'll find out soon enough. To learn more, stay till the end of this video. The food crisis. You've probably heard the words global food crisis everywhere by now. You've seen it on TV shows, on the covers of internationally acclaimed magazines, and even on sponsored ads on Facebook. But what is the food crisis really? Because I'm assuming you see tons of food being wasted every day. So if food is being wasted because seemingly no one wants it, then why is there such a basic demand and supply issue in the first place? There have been different variations of the food crisis throughout the years. In 2008, after the U.S. housing crisis, people were going through extreme levels of debt and poverty. The numbers of hungry people all over the world had simply skyrocketed. Now the dynamics post-COVID have changed a bit. The food crisis of today does not revolve simply around the fact that people are unable to buy food. Although that is definitely a major factor, the crisis now includes the inability of farmers to grow crops that are worthy of being consumed, which, when you look at it, is a much bigger problem. When someone is unable to purchase food, you can rely on alternatives such as donations, cheaper options, mass food drives, and so on. But how does the world resolve the issue of the inability to produce food? We'll now explain why this is happening and what does carryover have to do with all of this. World carryover of grain. Carryover means the amount of produce that is left in storage when it's time for the new harvest to begin. The carryover acts as a cushion for the farmers, allowing them to supply something to the people before the demand takes over the supply, which is not met, leads to a food crisis. In the past few years, the world carryover of inventory has significantly decreased. The stock went from 623 million tons in 2018 to a forecast of just 596 million tons in stock in 2022. It has also been found that rice and soybean production has decreased significantly as well. Therefore, the wheat decrease is not being compensated by its alternatives either. The role of climate change. This decrease has been suspected to be caused by extreme weather conditions that have changed local temperatures everywhere. Scientific journals have emphasized the fact that climate change has made it very difficult for crops to yield the same results that they once did. The weather changes have made biochemical alterations related to the abiotic and the biotic constraints of crops. Abiotic constraints are related to the soil conditions, their properties, and the level of water they can hold. Biotic constraints are related to the organisms that are beneficial for crop growth, the pests, and the anthropogenic factors, man-made factors that affect the environment. All of these changes in the biochemistry and environment of the crop growth have even led to the fall in the quality of the crops that are to be grown. Usually, in cases like these, the crop quality would be controlled by using a particular set of fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides that would add to the crop what it cannot naturally produce. Unfortunately now, many farmers do not have this option either. The economy of crop growth. It has become extremely difficult to grow crops in this economy. Farmers are unable to create environments in which their crops can flourish. A major reason for this is the skyrocketing prices of pesticides, insecticides, and fertilizer. Basic economics is not able to be met. There's a demand and there is a supply too, but due to market dynamics, the price point that we arrive at, it's not one that can be afforded by most farmers, especially farmers that operate in developing economies. For them, prices are way too high. They simply can't afford to use fertilizers. These farmers also, unfortunately, need these fertilizers the most. This creates another problem. The quality of crops thus decreases even further. Most of the produce that comes from these farms cannot be sold simply because of the extremely poor quality of the yield. And if by some miracle the crops survive and the quality is good enough and they can be shipped out to the market, farmers run into other issues. Due to the extreme levels of heat, the crops deteriorate beyond control, forcing farmers to throw away the produce. It has become increasingly difficult for farmers to bring you the food that is present on your table. Maybe we should all be a little more grateful for whatever we have with us. Other farming-related news. There's been a lot of development recently in the farming world. Stick around till the end of this video to know more. The rise in vertical farming. There has has been an incredible rise in the number of people that are now opting for vertical farming. Vertical farming is a type of farming that allows people to grow all kinds of crops outside the traditional restrictions of farming, mainly not having enough square feet of farmland. Vertical farming also leads to a more clean and green urban space, as a lot of rooftops in major urban hubs are being used for the purpose of farming, leading to cooler climates and better air quality. Vertical farming has allowed fresh produce to be readily available in both urban and rural areas, and in some cases, this is a cheaper alternative. With oil prices surging at an all-new high in recent years, the amount of money that is being used in transporting crops from farmlands to urban supermarkets is too much to be spent by a farmer or a consumer. Therefore, with the help of vertical farming, the average consumer now has a lot of options. They don't have to rely on anyone else to bring food to the table, as most staple produce can now be grown from their balconies. This has even led to a healthier population as well. People are consuming more vegetables and fruits as they can grow them from the comfort of their homes. So the factor concerning the lack of availability of some fruits and vegetables has been reduced significantly. Moreover, many people did not trust the rise in genetically modified crops in past years, and therefore many people are a little wary of buying and consuming food from the supermarket. But when you are your own farmer, you can control what is used to grow your produce, therefore encouraging the population to eat healthier as well. A population that eats healthy is also one that will be able to provide more to the economy. The less time you spend in the hospital, the better. It is not only for yourself, but also for the nation as well. However, vertical farms cannot solve the entire food crisis on their own. Obviously, some crops cannot be grown by the average man, and we still require the assistance of rural farmers for crops such as wheat and rice. But this is still a positive change, and it is something that we can all start with. It's the little things that lead to bigger changes. The future of farming. Some might say that farming is a dying profession, and those people would be correct. In a survey done by the Census for Agriculture to gauge the future of farming, it was discovered that the number of farmers that have reached retirement age has increased drastically, while the number of young farmers that are able and willing to replace them is almost insignificant. The census has also revealed that the average age of retirement of a farmer in Minnesota went from 52 years in 2002 to 56 years in 2017. Moreover, the percentage of farmers over the age of 55 has increased 15%, leading to a grand total of 60% of the total number of American farmers. In a few years, we won't have farmers to feed us. There is a food crisis incoming, and it's approaching us soon. Talk about a depressing future. The harsh reality is that farming is no longer a lucrative industry to work in. Younger people are not willing to enter this market because, let's face it, it's a lot of work with very minimal pay. With temperatures increasing worldwide, it has become increasingly difficult and expensive to have a farm and to grow crops or even raise livestock. But just because we don't have an influx of farmers anymore doesn't mean that the world will suddenly stop needing them. Farming will forever remain a necessity no matter how far the world progresses. We still need food on the table even if we send rocket ships to Mars. But it seems that it's easier for us to have self-driven cars than to have a stable food source anytime soon. That's all for this video, folks. Let us know what you think of the food shortage situation and whether or not the world will be able to recover from this. Make sure to like and subscribe so that we can keep you updated on other global issues that concern you. See you all next time.